Hello everybody and welcome to Car Confections, and today, as you can probably see, we are doing something pretty cool. This is Cadillac's Super Cruise system. This is, of course, their hands-free highway driving system that is really rolling out to some of their more advanced models. It was on the CT6 for a little while, and now it's made its way to the Super Cruise system on the Escalade. So, of course, this is a really advanced hands-free driving system, like I said earlier.
It's going out to all the General Motors products, Sierra, Silverado, going to be hitting the mainstream. So we wanted to go ahead and do a demonstration of how this system works out on a highway. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and start explaining how this system works.
Now, if you're lucky enough to have a vehicle with Super Cruise, I want to show you how to go ahead and activate it. And like Drew said, it will be rolling out to some of their more mainstream products soon. So chances are, if you buy a higher-end GM vehicle, it might actually have Super Cruise within the next year or so. So in order to activate it, you do have to turn on the adaptive cruise control. So this might vary depending on which GM vehicle you have, but it's really as simple as just locating the button right here and then setting the cruise control to turn it on. That itself does not activate the Super Cruise system. You do have to actually press a separate button. This is just your standard adaptive cruise control system right now. However, in order to activate the Super Cruise, you do have to push this button right here on the bottom of the steering wheel. Basically just looks like a steering wheel with lanes. So that will go ahead and activate your Super Cruise system. As you can see, if you have Super Cruise, this light right here will illuminate blue as it's kind of figuring out and turning on the system, and then it turns green once you have the system activated.
Right, and then once it turns green, that's when you can
let your hands off the wheel.
Take your hands off the steering wheel, because this is a hands-free system. So that's kind of an important thing. Of course, there's lots of brands that have highway assistance and stuff, but you've got to keep your hands on the steering wheel. If you take your hands off the steering wheel, they will disengage. Not so with this one. You can probably see the little sensor above the steering wheel. That's going to be monitoring Mason's eyeballs to make sure he is looking at the road. Of course, no car on the market right now has any level of full autonomy where you don't have to pay attention or anything like that. You do still need to pay attention to the road. You're just going to be scanning out, watching for obstacles, stuff like that, and be ready to take control if the car comes upon something that a situation that it can't handle, construction, something like that. But otherwise, these highway systems are mapped. So the Escalade itself does not have an onboard LiDAR, but General Motors has gone through all the highway systems in the United States. I believe it's over 200,000 miles of highway systems, and mapped them very detailed with LiDAR. And then of course it's using the vehicle's onboard cameras to monitor the road system and lane markers as well. That combination is what makes it drive so smoothly. There's no pinging or anything like that. As you can see, the steering wheel just makes all those subtle adjustments it needs to track exactly straight. Yeah, and we've been using this system for quite a while. We've actually had this Escalade Sport Platinum to test out for the entire week. And I will say this is a very, very advanced system. And like Drew said, it does a really good job of just keeping you in the center of the lanes. It doesn't ping back and forth. It keeps you flat and center. And it's even very windy outside right now. So this big Escalade's getting blown around, and it's just keeping it right in the center of its lane really, really well. So I'm very impressed with this. This is actually a more advanced system than what you find in Tesla with their autopilot, because the Tesla system is using exclusively the camera, whereas the GM system, like Drew said, has the LiDAR mapping in addition to all the cameras in your car specifically. Alright guys, so let's talk a little bit more about the functionality and maybe why you would want this. Now, I'm one of the people that, before I actually really sample this out, I'm like, okay, well, what exactly is the point of having Super Cruise if I still have to be paying attention and stuff? But I do say, like, after we've used this for a long time, it really helps reduce the fatigue of just driving, because it takes all the steering components out. You don't have to constantly be adjusting it for the wind. And even though you do still have to pay attention, it really does just take the stress out of driving. So that's certainly a really nice touch. And we'll put it through a few more tests
It does have auto lane changing, so if you signal, so you just go ahead and signal, it has in the gauge cluster here, auto lane change, looking for a lane, and it goes ahead and changes the lanes, completely hands-free. I don't have to put my hands on the wheel at all, which is certainly nice. Oh, there it goes. And as you can see, I'm not touching the wheel at all. It sensed that the right lane was open, and it went ahead and changed into the right lane without me even inputting the turn signal. So the turn signal is your manual way of telling the car that you want to switch lanes, but the car is actually smart enough itself to figure out, okay, well, there's no one in the right lane. You don't really need to be riding in the left lane. So thank goodness they've actually programmed the car to do that, because most people just drive in the left lane even if they don't need to be.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to see this.
Yeah, so Cadillac's smart enough here. It said, you don't need to be in the left lane, go ahead and get in the right lane. It went ahead and did it for me, which is certainly very neat. And as I was experiencing earlier, I got in the left lane to pass a car. There were cars behind me, and it went ahead and switched right over as soon as I passed the vehicle. So this really is a true hands-free system, and it does all the work for you. So that's really neat.
So we're coming up on the exit that we're going to take. So our last little test here before we conclude this video is we'll kind of head off that exit there and see how long it lasts before it shuts off.
Yeah, and the road that we are turning off on is not a super cruise highway.
Right, so you want to see how it
yeah.
makes sure to notify you that you're ready to disengage. It should give you a few seconds to take back control.
Okay, it said take control to change lanes because it knew that we were turning off on an on-ramp. And I did brake there, which went ahead and turned off the adaptive cruise as you would expect. And, you know, when we'll turn on this road, I'll go ahead and show you that when I push the super cruise button, it's going to say that it's not available on this particular stretch of highway. Like Drew said, it is available on the vast majority of highways. I think
major yeah. highway systems.
In Lexington, you know, one of our major highways, New Circle Road, is mapped on most of it, and then the Bluegrass Parkway, which isn't even really a major road, is mapped. So that's certainly nice. Of course, if you're looking for like I-75, that is most certainly going to be mapped on Super Cruise. So all the major interstate systems will be mapped. So if you're a big highway driver, this is certainly a useful system to have on board.
Right. If you're wondering the cost of this, of course it's going to vary depending on the model, and price will probably drop over time, but on this specific Escalade it was $2,500.
Alright. A semi pulled up in front of me, but we'll get that test out and see if it'll see what it says here for you, if it's not a Super Cruise road. Okay, so we'll go ahead and activate our adaptive cruise control here.
Yeah, when he pushes the Super Cruise button, it's going to decline.
Yeah, and then Super Cruise, it says, Super Cruise unavailable, no road information. So that does go back to what we were talking about earlier with the Cadillac mapping system. Now, of course, the cameras are still active on the vehicle, so it really probably could do Super Cruise, but Cadillac wants to have that extra faith in their LiDAR mapping of having each road mapped, and this road is not mapped, so it's not going to let you use the Super Cruise system.
They're going for that extra safety.
Yeah.
Tesla is a little more fast and loose with that.
Yeah.
So they're going to let you use it everywhere if you're comparing the two systems, but you know, you can't have quite as much confidence because the car has to be processing the information as it goes, whereas this one already basically knows how the flow of the highway is in advance.
But guys, that's pretty much it for our Super Cruise tutorial. We hope you really found this video helpful. Certainly it's a odd and really cool thing to be behind the wheel of a car going 70+ miles per hour without even having your hands on the wheel at all. It's certainly a weird feeling. You know, when we first used it, I was like, oh no. You know, I was a little nervous, but as we got used to using it, you really just build your confidence in the overall system and how well they've done it. So A+ from us on the Super Cruise system, certainly helpful. If you're buying a GM vehicle, we certainly recommend buying it because it is definitely a helpful thing for highway driving. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, we do have a ton more automotive content. We have a review of this Escalade Sport Platinum. We typically focus on car reviews, but we wanted to give you this technology overview because this is such an advanced system. But if you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.